Okay, so I'm going to talk about 6 human needs, and I'm going to focus on activism and the narrative around activism and why that's important. So, this one? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a really quick, short story, the story about some youths. I don't know if you've ever seen youths like this. They're kind of, depending on the situation that they're in or where they're from, there are a lot of young people out there who are going through, basically issues in their lives, whether it is poverty, financial issues, personal issues, and other things as well. And there's a group of young lads in a place where I used to live some years back, and they were kind of termed as NEET youths or NEET individuals. Does anyone know what that stands for? Excellent, yeah. So not in education, employment, or any forms of training. So these are young lads, or young girls as well, who are at a point in their life where they're not, they're in a place where they're not in education, they're not in any forms of training, or any forms of employment. And if you don't intervene at a certain time, there's a very high chance that you lose that group of young people, whether they're girls or boys. So some of my colleagues, what they decided to do was that they were given the opportunity to work with these lads just before they were basically left out there in society to just get on with it. So it was an intervention program that happened. And in this intervention program, we did a number of different things. And there's one program that we did, or one session that we did, which we found was really impactful on these young lads. And it was basically a session on Palestine and what was happening in Palestine. Because for us as Muslims, we're quite aware about the situation that happens in Palestine. It's something that's talked about in the mosques, it's talked about amongst our homes, it's on the news, and it's not just amongst the Muslims, it's also the non-Muslims as well. It's amongst everybody. However, it is also amongst a pocket of people in society who are aware of what's happening in Palestine. Young people like these boys here, it's probably not something they talk about or they're aware of, because the kind of sort of issues or narratives that they're used to wouldn't be surrounding Palestine or anything else. So what we decided to do is we decided to hold a session on Palestine, and we spoke about what was happening in Palestine, the different types of injustices that were occurring, and just a few other things, and how it all happened in the past. And it was really interesting, because what actually happened with these young lads was that something new happened to them. It was really interesting, because what actually happened was that they became activated out of nowhere. They actually wanted to do something about it. They felt a sense of injustice in their lives. They felt angry, and they could not believe, how come these types of issues are existing in this society today? And these youths really resonated with this because of the fact that they were facing injustices in their own life, but those injustices may not have been exactly the same as the injustices in Palestine, but they could understand and resonate with these, with the Palestinian people. So at this session, they're really angry, and they were swearing and all sorts, like, what can we do about this? What should I do? How do I go about it? Tell me what I need to do to change this situation. And the thing is, no one really expected this from people like this. And this is the problem we have in society. We believe that these types of issues, injustice or whatever, will only be for a certain group of people who can fight for it and change the way things are. But in reality, as long as you're a human being and you understand your own emotions, or you felt some form of emotions, it's very easy to connect with injustices and suffering that's happening around the world. So these young lads, they became activated, and they wanted to change the injustice that was happening. And for one moment, one brief period in their lives, they actually felt they had a purpose. And they felt that they had some form of significance in their lives. Significance or purpose is actually one of the human needs. Okay, so I'm going to go through 6 today. I'm going to go through 6 human needs, and I'm going to go through why they're really important. So for the first time in their lives, these young lads, they had purpose or significance, because they had something to stand up for, a cause and issues to talk about. So why does this matter? Why is this important? Now, one of the things about human beings is that we all need to feel significant. We all need to have a purpose. And when we take away a person's significance or purpose, whether it's in society, in their immediate situation, or in their circle of influence, what happens is a person loses their sense of value or their sense of feeling important or needed. So really, it's really important that we give people their significance or allow people to go forward with their purpose. So when we take it away, there are negative outcomes and consequences, which I'm going to move on to. So if a person loses their value or their need to feel important, what happens is that there's some negative outcomes, both emotionally, spiritually, in their actions and so on. So just to give you an example, every human being, they want to feel significant in something. So whether they feel significant in their jobs or whether they feel significant in their immediate family circles, it doesn't matter. A person needs to have that, and when they have that, they can grow further. I'll just give you the example of my dad. My dad, he's a fantastic cook, mashallah, a really fantastic cook. And he actually taught my mum how to cook as well. And when it came to cooking and food at our house, my dad felt really significant. It was his purpose to make the food and make the dishes. So whenever we go down to visit my dad and he hasn't cooked, or he hasn't cooked like he would if the family was coming over, he actually gets really, really upset. He finds that it makes him really annoyed as well. And me and my siblings are like, let's not go down to see Abu or Dad when he hasn't cooked, otherwise he's going to be really upset. But in reality, the reason why is because we know, for my dad, it gives him significance and purpose and value, that we value the fact that he does something for the family and it's just his, it's just for him. So he feels significant, and he feels he has a purpose, something to do and to take care of his family. And also because my mum can't take it away from him, because she doesn't cook as good. But alhamdulillah for our parents. So significance or purpose allows a person to have connection and also love, so emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So one of the things about significance or having some form of a purpose in life is that that purpose allows us to connect. It allows us to connect to the people around us. So for my dad, he could connect with his family, his children, his wife, and everybody else, because he had some purpose and he was fulfilling that purpose. Now, connection and love is actually a human need. Okay, so connection and love, these are one human need. So you can either say connection or you can say love. I'm just going to explain that for you in a moment. So why significance and why love and why connection, why is it important? Now, one of the greatest purpose that we have as Muslims is to worship Allah. And this is something we know in our traditions within Islam, that our purpose is to worship Allah. Now, one of the things about this purpose is that it allows us to connect with our Creator. It allows us to connect with Allah. And when we can connect with Allah, what it does is it breeds other really key characteristics or traits in human beings, essential characteristics and traits, such as kindness and moral values, responsibility or the attitude of stewardship, gratitude and selflessness, all because of our relationship with Allah. The more we develop our relationship with Allah, the more we will start to feel or start to value these really important characteristics or ethics. And that comes from connecting with Allah and having that relationship with Allah. And at the same time, love and connection is something that we need to have amongst one another. And it makes us grow as human beings, and it allows our emotions to develop as well. Okay, so with our significance or purpose in life, there are also other human needs. And we need those other human needs to flourish with our purpose driving us. So our purpose is, yes, it is to worship Allah, but there are other human needs which I'm going to cover and talk about those. So what would happen if someone loses significance, or what would happen if someone doesn't have purpose? And that's a question for you guys. We spoke briefly about its significance and having purpose and the importance of that. What could happen if someone doesn't have significance or someone doesn't have a purpose in life? Any suggestions? Yes? You wouldn't know what to do. Good. Excellent.
An idle life.
Sorry?
An idle life.
An idle life. Good. Yes. That could happen.
Wasting time.
Wasting time. Yes.
They would probably feel they can't do anything.
They can't do anything good. Yes. Good. Anything else? Yes.
They look for other ways to express or connect.
Excellent. So they look for other ways to express and connect. Good. Any more?
Feel frustrated, angry.
Feel frustrated and angry? Good. Very good. Excellent. And that's the thing. When someone has no significance or purpose, what it creates is instability in a person, especially if they've never had it in the first place. So I'm going to give you an example of someone who did have it and lost it, and an example of someone who didn't have it in the first place. Now, this type of instability caused by the lack of significance or purpose in life causes a form of instability in someone's personality. It can cause instability in someone's actions and especially in their emotions. Emotions are out of balance and they're all over the place. And the reason being is that people need to feel like they matter. And if they don't feel like they matter, then what's left? What's left after that? And I just want to talk to you about a group of students who shot their classmates. It was a really big story that happened in America some years back. I don't know if you heard about it. It was two friends who went and shot their classmates in their school. They went on a shooting spree. And the thing about these young lads was that there's a lot of media around it. A lot of people were speaking about why they did it, why did it happen, and so on. And as it all started dying down, it was one of the magazines that found the diary of one of the boys. And in his diary, he put something really, really important that I think we should all try to take lesson from. And he said, "I have never done anything of significance in my life, and I wanted to change that." So his reasons to go out there and kill all his classmates, for whatever reasons and justifications he had, one of the things he did say was that for his whole life, he never felt any purpose or significance, and he was determined to go out there and change that. So it really makes you wonder that why is it important? It really makes you wonder that significance and purpose is important. So if the people don't have it in the first place, there is this backlash and this outcome that happens. Now, especially if you're working with people in youths and in society, those who are going through a lot of issues in their life, and you speak to them and you see what kind of things that they're going through, a lot of the time people are looking to have some form of purpose, something to do with their time, something to make them feel of some value. Now, having this form of significance and purpose and then losing it, what it does is it's a loss of certainty. And certainty is actually a human need. It's one of the other human needs. So I've spoken about connection, love, which is one, significance or purpose, which is the second one. The third one is certainty. And certainty is a form of a paradox as well, because it goes sort of hand in hand with significance and purpose. On the one hand, you want significance and purpose, and that actually makes you stable, and it gives you stability. And then on the other hand, if you lose that, you lose any forms of certainty in life. And then when that happens, it causes a form of instability. So just let me explain that. So what happens? So certainty is a human need, and what it gives a person is a level of assurance in their life. It gives them a level of predictability, a level of safety, and people need that. They need a constant form of certainty in their life, because if there is no certainty, what could happen? So that's a question for you guys. What could happen if people don't have enough certainty in their lives? I know I sort of mentioned it. Excellent. They're anxious about their future. Good. Good answer. What else?
They can't plan to make changes or plan a path.
Good. Yes. They can't. Yes, they can't plan. And in the fact that they can't plan in itself can cause a person to feel anxious as well, because of the fact that they can't plan and there's no predictability. It's unstable. Anything else?
Inhibition.
Sorry.
Inhibition. So for them to actually
Yeah.
do anything.
Okay.
Because they go into that sense of anxiety or
Good. Yeah.
mental health. I was just thinking, so fears, depression.
Yes. Good. And those are the types of things that can happen. So everything that you have mentioned, when a person loses a sense or a level of certainty, the kind of outcomes of that is that a person feels nervous, stress, anxiety, insecurity, a certain level of fear, simply because something that was constant in their life is either no longer there or they never had it in the first place. So it's really important that people feel a certain level of certainty in their lives. Is there any way for my notes to come up? You know, there's like notes at the bottom. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so no, it's okay, thank you. Okay, so I want to give you an example of someone, a brother who probably, I think he's still unemployed, and I think my colleagues at MAID probably might know who I'm talking about. In our old office, we used to share it with an organisation that used to help a lot of people out of unemployment. So they used to go through training and a few other things. And when you see these people coming in, you can really see it in their face that they want to get a job and they really want to change their situation, but for whatever reason it's really difficult. And sometimes when you speak to these to some other people who are working in these types of places, there are some people who you really just cannot help anymore because they've gone past a point where intervention has gone and it's really difficult. So the most you can do is try to manage it and really help them the most that you can. And so you get a very varied level of people who come through. Now there's this one guy, he and this other guy, they kind of have a love-hate relationship. They're always sort of fighting, and I think those of you who might be laughing might know who I'm talking about. He was given the task of cleaning the desks. So although he came in to do job searches and try to help himself out of employment, he was given a task that nobody else was given, and that task was just to basically come over onto the staff side and clean their desks. Now, what this did was that it gave this person a level of significance, a purpose. He suddenly felt, amongst all his colleagues who were also unemployed, that he felt somehow that bit more special, that had a bit more significance or purpose. And so as a result, things changed about him for that period of time when he had that. His body, firstly, number one, his body language changed. He would come in and he'll be standing a bit higher, he'll be standing a bit taller. He changed, literally, his body language changed. He had a bit of oomph in his walk. It was so small, but it was recognizable. He felt he had a purpose and a need to be in that area, like he was one of the staff members, that he mattered. And I know I'm using a really small example here. He was just cleaning a desk, but it was such a big thing to him because he felt he mattered and he had value. And then the day came when we were moving, and it was a day when we were moving out. And he walked in, and he was standing right in front of me. He walked in, and he literally stood there, and I don't think he realized it. He stood there for nearly 1 minute or more, staring in horror by the fact that we were moving out. And the reason being was that for that moment, he realized that his purpose or significance, that when it mattered and all these people knew that he was important, is suddenly going to disappear now. It's going to go. And I don't know if you guys were there or saw him, but he was standing right in front of my desk for a long period of time. And I felt really sort of hurt because I knew that it mattered so much to him, but we were taking that away from him. We needed to move. We needed more space. But he lost that significance and that purpose. So it's a really small example, but what can happen is that when someone loses their purpose or significance, even in the smallest task, there are a lot of negative outcomes. And one of the things about certainty is that if there is too much certainty, so that everything is always the same day in, day out, then it can create boredom. And that in itself is another negative. So you can have too much of something, and it can become a negative as well. And this is where we move on to our next human need. So if you have a certain level of certainty in your life, so you know that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to this place for work or for study, or to this place I'm going to visit, and it's going to be the same every single day. You need that level of certainty. But at the same time, people need variety in life. And it's important to have that. And it's also a human need. Why do you think variety is important? Why do you think it's... Yeah.
Makes you have more curiosity for new things.
Yes, excellent. To have curiosity for new things. Good. Yes.
To avoid tedium?
Yes, excellent. Very true. Very true. Anything else?
Creates connectivity.
Yes, good. Connectivity. Any more? Good. It does. It helps you grow as a person. Good. Yes. Okay, good. I saw some hands up at the back. Any more? Yes.
Shows versatility.
Excellent. It shows versatility. And this is the thing. People need variety in their life. They need to have some different, something going on that's different, because when we don't have that, when there's too much certainty, people want to break free from that. So for example, when there are husbands and wives who have been in a marriage for a long time and it's just always been the same thing day in, day out, they will naturally look for things to break free from that. And it can come out in a negative way through, let's say, affairs or something, or it can come out in a positive way if they know how to, have variety in their life, so having new goals and new activities that they do and so on. Okay, so what's this got to do with activism? So activism, the narrative. So purpose, connection, certainty, and variety. These are 4 human needs that I've spoken about, but they are actually essential needs of the personality. It's part of who you are as a person. It helps you develop your personality and your characteristics. But there are also 2 other very important needs, and these are the needs of the spirit. These 2 needs, these human needs I'm going to go through quickly now, they're part of the innermost meaning of a human being, they're part of the core, and it's part of the spirit. And with this, with these 2 human needs, it helps a person's spirit grow. And they also give a person fulfillment. Okay, so another thing about these 2 human needs is that if you can access these 2 human needs and really develop them, then what happens is you find that that person has peak performance in their whatever they do in life. They have a sense of fulfillment, satisfaction in everything, goals, in their families or anything else. So what are these? Number 1 is growth, and it was interesting to see that a couple of you mentioned this. And the second one is contribution. So growth and contribution. So why are these important? Contribution is essentially the narrative of giving back. That's literally what it is, contributing back to society. It is the narrative of greater good, it's the narrative of serving a purpose, and it's the narrative of leadership. And despite our personal lives, despite whatever difficulties you and I might be going through, we will all have a deep desire to contribute outside of ourselves. And when that desire is there, what it does, it grows a person in their spirit. So for example, those youths that I talked about right at the beginning, for a moment in their life, they had some form of purpose and significance, and they wanted to suddenly contribute back. They wanted to do something about it. And this is the thing about activism. Activism, or doing, or going out there and changing things for the better, fulfills that purpose. And it also fulfills many human needs, including growth. And the thing about growth is that it's not enough for a person to reach a certain place. Humans naturally, they want to keep growing and growing and growing. And once they reach a plateau, they want to grow further. So for example, someone who's reached their financial goals, they've got all the money they need, they're happy. Still, they're happy with their financial goals, but still they feel like it's not enough still. I need more. I need to grow more. So what happens with activism, it fulfills that purpose, it allows you to grow and contribute back. So we become unhappy when we are not growing or when our life is stagnant. And this is the thing about activism. Activism is a contribution towards change. When we are active or we do something to change the way things are, we are contributing towards the change. And the thing about change is that it's not a matter of ability. It's not about how much knowledge you have or how much money you have or what your standing in society is or how much power you have. Change is a matter of motivation. And when you look throughout history, we need to ask ourselves what motivated them to make change happen. So until we start to build the activism narrative in our lives and make it part of our character and actions, then we will not be motivated to make change in the long term. And so that's the question for us. What motivates you? And that's a really important question to ask for us to ask ourselves. What motivates us and what is it that we want to do with this short amount of time we have in our lives and the purpose that we have? What is it that motivates us? And we need to start building that activism narrative. Jazakumullahu khairan. There was actually more I wanted to cover. I had lots to say. I couldn't see my notes, so I had to do it off by heart. So, Jazakumullahu khairan, and thank you very much.